Hi guys, welcome to Nine's Corner. There is so much happening on the Canadian scene. Plus, I was sent an email asked about doing some Canadian readings, which I am more than happy to do. So, first off, we're going to start with our Prime Minister Trudeau. There has been billions of dollars that have been spent by the government during this pandemic, and there was a lot of help that went out to regular folks who were having a hard time meeting their financial needs. There was money that went into businesses, but we're talking billions and billions. And as much as Trudeau tries to say he's transparent, it's not. We don't know specifics. We only know about certain types of money, but then the whole general amount of it, we don't know. So I'd like to ask the cards, do we have something to worry about? Is he on the truth and telling us the truth to the best of his ability? Or are they hiding contracts that go to businesses that help the Trudeau government? Because I don't care if he's cute. I don't care if he wears fancy socks. I want to know what's happening to our money, especially during this time of COVID and lockdowns and just everybody having a hard time trying to make ends meet. I realize I even went to the store the other day and there's lots of people talking about, giving up getting gifts this year and getting together with the family because it's just financially difficult for most people to try to get through this Christmas. I mean, come on. We've been in this pandemic for a really long time, so where has our money gone? Is it all gone to good? Or are we going to be finding out that some of it's been spent for not for our best interest? Oh, for goodness sake. Eight of Cups. So yeah, unfortunately, he has walked away from some of his moral higher ground and he has spent money in places that we're going to not be happy about. We're going to find out about this. There are records. There's going to be information. They're working on the details. They know where that money's gone. They know the specifics, but they're not willing to tell everybody because there's some unevenness happening there. I am telling you, within the next 10 months, less, we're going to be finding out about where did all the money go? Where is Trudeau hiding it? Something's not right. This is going to come down. There's going to be a major case in the news that's going to come down about Trudeau, and it's going to really do some damage to him. He's going to have to answer some questions. He's going to be trying to defend himself to the best of his ability. He's going to be saying, look, I did this for the people. I did this for everything. But with the 10 of Swords here, something's going to be going against him. And with the Swords, you're thinking about thoughts, feelings, writings, emotions. This is people writing information, news coming out in a written form. Could be phone calls as well. Hermit having to go inside. Yes, he definitely used some of this money for his own political gain for companies. And this is what we're going to find out about companies that got 100% companies that got money from the government that really shouldn't have got it, but they were, there you go, buddy, right? Welcome. So that's going to be coming out 100%. For our next reading, we're going to look at David Suzuki. Now, he recently hit the news, especially here in Alberta, because he said about the pipelines being blown up. And as far as I'm concerned, if you're a person of power and your words can affect many, and this is especially important when it comes to David Suzuki, your words have weight. And then if something happened, he'd be able to say, oh, no, I didn't do anything, but that's not fair. Now, let me just say, I'm a little bit turned off from David Suzuki. I realize he's our Canadian icon. He's the environmentalist of all time. He was on the CBC growing up. I watched more David Suzuki specials on CBC than I can even remember. But this man who's an environmentalist, who's, really going after Alberta. I remember he went after Newfoundland for the seal hunt. And I could go on and on and on with all of his things that he says. And some of it I agree with. Climate change is a real thing. And I appreciate him, standing up and talking about that. But I don't appreciate him as an environmentalist talking to us about a pipeline when he's got 6 houses, two in Vancouver, one in Australia, another one, he's got 6 or 7 of them. So why do you need so many houses Who heats those houses? And how do you get there? Via plane, train, automobile? So I appreciate some of his environmental work that he's done. Nobody's all good or nobody's all bad. But I have to say, I'm offended by his whistleblowing out to people to harm us. It's one thing to have a different opinion and come to the table and have a conversation, but you don't put it out there so that you take no responsibility for your actions or your words. And I will admit, I met David Suzuki. I worked at the Ottawa International Airport, and I met a lot of celebrities and different people, hockey players and so on and so forth. And I remember David Suzuki going through security, and he was treated, equal as anybody else. He went through. There was this one employee who loved David Suzuki and was like doing environmental sciences in university. And after David Suzuki was finished, he was going on break. So he kind of went up to David after he had processed through security and said, I just got to tell you, you are such an inspiration to me. You're the reason I'm in university doing environmental studies. And David Suzuki looked at him and said, do you really think this is the most appropriate place to speak to me? Oh my God, I couldn't believe it. Now, maybe he was having a bad day. Maybe he had just found out he had bad news, but it really kind of put a bad taste in my mouth over him. So I have to be truthful about that, because I do sound kind of negative about him. But, if you're going to talk the talk, then walk the walk. You can't have 6 houses and, be blowing through all over this place on what? You can't be walking there and then telling people what to say and do. That bothers me when you're too much holier than thou. So, does David Suzuki, is he negatively influencing the pipeline? Is he purposefully trying to create trouble here in Alberta? He wants there to be a loss. He wants to really push this narrative of get rid of the pipelines now that the Keystone has been squashed. And I mean, he's weighing out, the cause, but then how the cause affects him and his paybook, his checkbook. This, he can be financially influenced, and the CBC has been paying for him. High Priestess, he's definitely got some secrets, definitely using some of his notoriety for his own good, but that doesn't mean he has ill intentions here. I don't see negative cards here. I definitely see him against the pipeline and continuing to do something about it. And yeah, he's looking elsewhere. This is not just about Canada. He's looking elsewhere, anywhere there's pipelines. And the funny thing is, if you look at this card, it's the influence of foreign countries and stuff. And here in Canada, if you look at how we get oil, majority of it comes from the US, Saudi Arabia, all these places. And the reason being, it's not because we don't have the oil here. It's because the USA's all their oil production and everything is out east. So it's easier for them to do deals out east than it is for them to do it here in the West. And yet Putin gets to take over gas supply. He's got Germany in their pocket. Everybody's getting to take over. Saudi Arabia's having a ball. And yet we were stopped in our tracks over it without even a consultation, because we put millions of dollars into it here in Alberta, and we're trying to get some of that money back from the pipeline. So, and for my last question, I'm going to talk about the importance of keeping it in the news about missing and murdered Aboriginal women and children. I mean, the reality is Trudeau did us a major disservice this month by not being present for Aboriginal Day. He was off vacationing in the sand with his family. The fact is that Aboriginal women and children make up 3% of the population, and yet they make up 10% of the missing children and women. These are oftentimes found murdered. And a lot of times, you hear these cases, the police were inactive. They find out their child has been murdered or missing, and then they don't hear anything else. It's like there's not even a national registry for missing and murdered Aboriginal women. Now, they do have it in Saskatchewan. I know that they have one. It's the Commissions of Chiefs of Police, and they have some statistics, and it's like, high, almost 60% of the missing and murdered women are Aboriginal. So there's obviously issues here that are beyond anything that our politicians have been able to do anything with. I mean, we get good lip service, and that's about it. And I just want to look at, what do politicians think of this? Politicians think of this as something to be worked on. They feel like they've put some work into it, and now they're going to wait and see how it goes. But they don't understand that waiting and seeing is just making this problem worse. You can't wait and see inactivity by our government. When it comes to the police, magician upside down. They are, it's not every cop. I don't mean it that way. But there are too many police officers who are not doing their duty when it comes to Aboriginal women and children. Too often you hear about cases where the police said, they'll find out that somebody's missing, and they'll just say, maybe in a week they'll come home. Or I remember a number of years ago now, there was a missing child, Tina Fontaine, and she was missing from Winnipeg, was found murdered a couple of weeks later, and that made like a big splash here in Canada. And they had said that at one point while she was missing, and they were alarmed to that fact, like it was in the police file that she was missing, that they had found her and she was intoxicated and 15, and didn't look 15, looked younger than 15, and let her go. But because it's Aboriginal women and children, because this is in our politics and in our police force, way too often considered second-class citizens. That's just the reality of the situation. That's the crux of it. What advice can we take to try to make things better? Because everybody's tired of lip service, and this doesn't bring these women and children home. What advice? It is so important for us as women to get together. You have to stand up for your sisters. We as women have the ability to change this world, and for far too long, men have ruled this world, and we can see what's happening. More women have to get in positions of power. More women have to set the stage, and it's going to be a slow progression because we've got the pentacles here, but it is going to be women that's going to make the tide change. So I really think as women, we have to stick together. As women, we have to speak out and do our parts. No matter where you come from, what walk of life, women have to stand together. That's so honest. That's so honest. I love tarot cards. I love them. I love them. Anyway, that's our Canadian political read, and I thank one of my subscribers who wrote me an email and asked me if I could do a political read for Canada, and here it is. I'm not sure if I should mention names or not, so let me know. Anyway, if you would like to see more political questions about Canada, leave your questions below and I will answer them to the best of my ability. And as always, I have our unity candle lit for each and every one of us. And until the next time we chat, cheerio. Take care.